melanated people's brilliance and their talents. So what we want to explain here, yeah, family, this is another New Black World Order TV Productions. Chopper. This is part 3. Let's get it in, family. So we're cracking the codes of the Quran, the numbers 114 and the numbers 19 as they relate to these 5 dates right here. Again, 570 AD, 595 AD, 615 AD, 622 AD, and 1605 AD. But we're going to, again, go over those, because we got receipts, right? What we're saying is that the Quran is a product of Judeo-Christian thought, and that we can find the synchronicities and the commonalities in the names, terms of text, and the numbers of text as they relate to the mathematical systems developed by our ancient forefathers and mothers' observation of nature, right? So let's get it in. The Surah Academy, and the word Surah, this is in 225 AD, which is before 570 AD, right? In the Quran, the name of the chapter of the text, right, of the text is Surah. But we have here a Surah Academy, right, founded in 225 AD, right, by Abba Arika Av, right? And we have the Pamabita Academy. These are the Babylonian Talmudic academies founded by Judah ben Ezekiel, right? He founded Pambed Isa. So we have the word Isa here. We have the word Isa here before 570 being used by who? Is it Arab-speaking Jews? Is it Aramaic-speaking Jews? Is it Syriac-speaking Jews? Is it Syriac-speaking Christians? Right? So let's get the receipts. We know that our man Walter Williams done a great job on things on these subjects. Dr. Yusuf bin Yakinan, Dr. John Henry Clark, right? But some of our people need what they call established academia, something beyond black scholar. Some of you coons need that. So for you, we have the Cambridge History of Judaism, right? Volume 4, edited by William David Davies. And we also have the History of the Jews in Babylonia, right, by Jacob Noschner, right? So you can go into these works here and find Surah, Pambedisa, right, and all of the academies developed, right, because their schools were established in 225 AD. That doesn't mean that the presence of those people just started in 225 AD, for they were in the region before this date here, but we have the establishment of a midrash, right? And a midrash is a commentary on a part of a Hebrew scripture attached to the biblical text, meaning resort to this, seek out and inquire or expound, right? It's a place of teaching, a place of recital, right? And Muhammad was asked to recite, right? So this is what we want to get into. That 112, remember, when squared off, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 2 is 4. And when we went into the simple English gematria with the word synagogue, right? Synagogue, right? When we took the numbers attached to the word synagogue, right? In the English language, which S is a 19, Y is a 25, N is a 14, A is a 1, right? G is a 7, O is a 15, and G is a 7 again. U is the 21st alphabet, and E is the 5th, bringing us to a grand total of 114. So some of these questions need to be answered by the Muslim community, right? Why does the word synagogue add up to 114? Why is there an academy named Surah, right, founded in 225 AD? And why is there another Jewish academy with the word Isa in it? right? So who prepared these books, right? We find the Jewish influence embedded within the terminologies of text in the Islamic text, right? So that's what we're doing. We're exposing, we're pulling the veil back, just like peeling the onion. When you peel back the layers of lies, the layers of onion skin, right? Somebody is going to begin to cry. Even the peeler begins to cry as to what is discovered when you pull back the layers, right? And get down to the origins of this God complex, of this God cult, right? Because one thing I want to understand about the Abrahamic faiths is that Abraham made claims. Abraham made claims to territories, right? ACT, Act, Abrahamic claim territories. And what they say is that Abraham and them people didn't have a bunch of land. But if you look at the influence of the Jew upon Christianity and Islam, and then take into an account the amount of land that is now occupied, controlled, and ruled by these three faiths, Abrahamic claim territories, ACT, right? It's amazing how much land they was able to take by using the influence of the sages that was produced out of these academies. And another thing that's important, what I want to bring out, family, is this. The Muslim, the Christian, is obsessed with the number 7, and they got that obsession, right, from these folks, right? Because we're going to talk about in the next video, right, Beit el-Hakim, a university system that was developed after this date. An Islamic university system, Beit el-Hakim, the House of Wisdom, developed in this same region here, Baghdad, Iraq, after this date, developed after this date, right? So we have it called a madras. Madras, M-A, madras, sounds familiar to the word midrash, as I said before. The word surah in the Islamic text sounds familiar to this word also. Pambed Isa, again. So they develop a university system in the same area. I wonder, is it the same families? Right? So the minds of the world are being influenced. And another thing I wanted to bring out, like I just said, we're dealing with the first 7 numbers of the Fibonacci sequence. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and 13, right? And so I want to also talk about the 7 collars. There were 7 collars or 7 masters that were set up over top each of these schools. 7 over top of this school in Pambadisa, 7 over top of this school in the Surah Academy. And they were in charge of the entire school and the commentary, right, on the Hebrew scripture. They attach their expoundings on the text that would rule over what these schools in the curriculum would talk about. Those 7 collars, right, these schools rotated around those 7 collars, just like the Muslims circumambulate 7 times around the Kaaba. Kala, the 7 masters that are set over top of these schools, right? And remember the receipts, Cambridge History of Judaism, edited by William David Davies, Volume 4. Remember the History of Jews in Babylonia by Jacob Noshner, right? And don't forget Walter Williams. Don't forget Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Yusuf bin Yakanan, right? Check these guys out. And I want you to go over and look up Surah Academy, founded by Abba Arika, 225 AD, right? As I said before 570 AD, right? We have a Surah city. We have a Surah Academy developed, I think, on the east of the river there in Iraq, right? So we need to understand that these are called the Babylonian Talmudic, right? And I'm going to take that word Babylonia, right? The first three letters, B-A-B, Bob, right? Which means gate, right? And we're going to go into that in the next video when we break down further, right? The numbers that we got from squaring off the first three numbers of these seven numbers, 1, 1, 2, right? And it is a mirror and a reflection of the number 211. And remember when we took the abjads and we took the alphabets in the alphabet for these numbers, A-A-B is B-A-A. Abba, Surah, Isa, right? So we want also to talk about, we also want to talk about the numerology that we're going to go into. You know, we're going to go into these dates and how we got the date 570 from squaring that number 112 off, and how we got 595 and 622 by dealing with this number here, which is the fifth Fibonacci number, and squaring that number off. 5 times 5 is 25, right? So we know fifth number, and we're going to use it with these three here, right? And we're going to go into Bab in its relationship to these three numbers squared off, right? So family, I appreciate you. We must remember that we can trust information, but we must verify. We must measure twice so that we'll cut once. And we're also going to go into this number here, 615 AD, 1605 AD, as it relates to the number 19. The next video is where it gets quite funky. And remember, when we talked about peeling that onion, getting back to the layers, right? Getting down to the root, right? Of where they stole this math from. How these Jewish terminologies or Jewish influence gets to dominate the Quran. This is another New Black World Order TV Productions. Chopper.